Awesome. Welcome, everybody, to the Love Your Life Tribe. We are Quantum Entanglement. And that means that we are all entangled in this web of life. So, welcome. Each week, we have a different live in the tribe according to the chakras that we're in. This week is Rainbow Week. So, we just went through the 7 weeks of the different chakras. This week, that means it's Rainbow Week. So, we do workshops. And this workshop is demystifying Halloween because it's October and we need this in our lives. So, because there's a lot of misinterpretations and the unknown. So welcome. This is a 3-day interactive workshop where we basically are going to chit chat and kind of learn some things. Whatever topics come our way, we're just going to go with it. So feel free to ask questions. Feel free to come on board whenever you're free. Give me a second. Okay, here we go. But first, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what Halloween is and then what the next 3 days are going to look like, and then talk about our special guest that we have on here today and move on. So what is Halloween? The tradition originated with the ancient Celtic festival of, ready? Samhain. Now, I don't know why it's spelled Samhain, but it's Samhain. So it means the summer's end. And people would light bonfires and wear costumes to ward off ghosts. And in the 8th century, Pope Gregory III, I think, designated November 1st as a time to honor all the saints. So soon, All Saints' Day incorporated some of the traditions of Samhain. So the evening before was known as All Hallows' Eve, and later Halloween. And over time, Halloween evolved into what it is today, which I'm not even going to go into what it is today. We'll talk about that later. But first, I think about costumes and sluttiness. So the Celts, I wasn't going to say it, but I said it. Oops. The Celts, who lived basically 2,000 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland, the United Kingdom, and northern France, celebrated their new year on November 1st. And later on, we're going to talk about the 8 holy days on another day, which I thought were so cool because they pretty much are in the Bible as well. And they're part of like all these other things. So I can't wait to demystify that. But you know how I love to get ahead of myself. So this day marked the end of summer and the harvest and the beginning of the dark. So again, we're going from daytime, from light, from spring, from summer, from all yay to the dark, to the cold, to the winter, a time of year that's often associated with human death, right? And also healing. So the Celts believe that on the night before the new year, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. So the veil was thin, basically. And on the night of October 31st, they celebrated, again, Samhain, and when it was believed that the ghost of the dead returned to Earth. So that's kind of where it started. November 1st is one of the 8 holy days. We're going to go over all of them again later, but that is basically the beginning of Hallows' Eve, so Halloween. And what we're going to do in these next 3 days is really demystify our beliefs, because it's really all about beliefs, right? We've heard things, things have evolved into what they are today, but a lot of times, just like other holidays, we don't know why. We don't know why we celebrate it. We just continue to do it. And it's based on tradition. But the more we know, the more power we have, because then we don't have to fall into the traps of fear, which is what a lot of this actual holiday is known as, or people fear it or have this like fear over it. So we're going to demystify all that. So if you have questions, please feel free. And these are the categories that we're going to go over. Ghosts and spirits, which is what we're going to go over a lot today. What is the difference? Good and evil, etc. Things like that. Witches, which will be tomorrow. We're going to go witches, Wicca, paganism. Like, what is that? Channeling, divination. What does that mean? Because we hear a lot of contradicting things about divination and channeling. So we're going to, again, demystify this. Magic. What is magic? We're going to talk about that, and also society's point of view. So I can't wait. This is supposed to be fun, so have fun with it. These are the next 3 days, guys. And today for Ghosts and Spirits, I cannot be more excited than to introduce to you to special guest, Jasmine the Medium. Welcome, Jasmine.
Hi, guys. I'm so excited to be here.
tell us a little bit about you and like how you got started, and then tell us about ghosts and spirits. Like, what are they? What's up?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so pretty much how I got here, my best friend died when I was 18, and I have been surrounded by death like my whole life. I actually just counted up. I know 15 people who have passed away before the age of 30. And so when you experience these things, you get a YOLO mentality. I'm only here one time, so let's do it. I went to a psychic reading one day. She told me I had the ability to connect to my loved ones. And I was like, okay, if I can connect to my best friend, I'm going to go ahead and try. And I tried, and I happened to be really good at it. And then 5 years later, I'm sitting right here. And so, with that being said, ghosts and spirits. I feel like the biggest difference. I want everyone to understand that they are the same thing in a sense where it's a spirit, like a spirit who has come to Earth and crossed over. The difference is a ghost is someone who may feel more attached to the place, like who may find it harder to go to the light. They may be more attached to Earth. They may have had a little bit more of a traumatic death experience that kind of got them a little bit more stuck, is what I will say. Where versus a spirit is maybe one who comes here and then crosses over, but kind of goes straight into what we call like heaven, where a ghost will kind of stay one level maybe below heaven. So what I like to think of the other side is into like 3 levels. You have like where the ghosts are chilling, you have like the second level of like where we consider heaven, and then you have this third level where I consider like spirit guides and a lot of knowledge based people are up there. And so ghosts are essentially just at this third level of this in between. But there's not, the biggest difference is like karma, is their attachment. And I think the biggest reason that they cause fear in people versus a spirit is because they kind of mess with our 3D world a little bit more just because they're attached. And that's really, I feel like, the biggest difference. It's not anything to be scared of. It's just a soul who may have experienced a little bit more trauma or karma, and they're having a harder time letting it go. And that's it, really. I don't like to overcomplicate things because I don't feel like most things are overcomplicated in general.
Right. We overcomplicate everything. Yes.
We have been conditioned, to be scared of these things. My mother-in-law just passed away last week, and we now have the ashes here, and I'm like, oh, kind of like what's gonna, but I know she's in a better place. She's not here. I asked her for a sign, and she gave me the sign that she's okay. So everything is good. But yeah, it's that thing that they make us since we're kids, to be scared of, because parents wants, to have the control. It's like, oh, I remember when I was a little girl, one of my mom's coworker, he used to hide and scare me the shit out of me in a closet, and I was so, about ghost and darkness and all that, I was scared, but he made that, he created that fear on me. So,
and a lot of fear too, what I've noticed in my work, and this is, I want to say this as gently as possible, is a belief system. Like I find that a lot of people who kind of get in that stuck state before I work with them, come from the Catholic religion, actually. And a lot of it's the fear based of, hey, you are either good or you're bad. And if you made any bad decisions, you're kind of stuck. And I have found that is another thing that when we cross over, that spirits also have to kind of deal with. So it's very intriguing. Fear is it's the human fear that crosses over, not the spiritual aspect of it.
Right. I was going to say that it's like whatever we learn or unlearn during this lifetime, it's like you're carrying over the soul's evolution of whatever that is, right? So it's like if you still have to dismantle those beliefs, it's going to be harder in the crossing over. And it makes me think of that movie. God, Michelle, what is it? Oh God, what is it? I told you to watch it. What Dreams May Come.
Yeah.
Yes. With Robin. Yeah, I love that movie because it's like, it shows you all those layers. That's basically a energetic equivalent of where you are.
I'm so glad that you brought that up too, Jasmine and Joanna, because it totally makes sense. Those that may still be like lingering, they have the hardest time because maybe they didn't unlearn certain beliefs while they were here. So that makes total and complete sense.
Yeah. So I had a my I don't know how to word this. My classmate was murdered when he was when we were seniors in high school. And fast forward, his brother would now be my fiance. And he was murdered, but he was also raised Catholic. And when I started connecting to him, he started coming through a lot. And that's why I feel like people kind of freak out about ghosts, is because they'll try to talk to us as much as possible. And if we're not listening, they'll get physical. They're like, hey, I'm going to move this cup, or hey, I'm going to lose your keys type of a situation. And so when I started connecting to him, he was in this state of, I don't want to go to the light. I don't know if I did anything bad. I don't know what this is. And so I think that's a great thing for people to also understand, is if that is something they struggled with on earth, and the spirit comes to someone that they trust, like a medium or even yourself who meditates, you can help them cross over. And helping him go to the light, it took months. So don't get me wrong, this isn't an overnight situation, but it is life-changing for everyone involved. So if they are there, don't think that they stay stuck there. They do have the opportunity to continue. So don't put fear on yourself either.
And you have the choice. Like one thing that I've learned with working with spirit is that, and energies, like when I feel an energy that I don't necessarily know because I'm working with other people, I always state, if you're not for my best and highest good, I'm not here to help you. There's somebody else in the universe that can help you right now. Because I know, like for me personally, I want to make sure that whatever that energy is, that it's good for all involved, if you will.
100%. I've connected to someone who murdered a lot of people. And it was one of those situations where you have to understand your power and boundaries, and understanding that that person may be for someone higher than what I am capable of. And so it's kind of having just those boundaries, and then just the knowledge of not putting yourself in a position you're not going to want to be in.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
It's so
Those
cool.
energies are crazy.
Right.
The murder one was intense, and you'll feel it too, guys. So you'll feel the energy difference and levels of like someone who may have made really crazy choices in this lifetime. It gives you like, that's where I feel like the fear comes in, because it does give you like that gut feeling, the dropping of the gut feeling, that like goosebumps in the back of your mind or in the back of your back or whatever. But also understanding that you have the power to like disconnect from that and protect yourself from that. So and again, it's not fearful. They don't have the power to hurt you if you don't allow it to. But I feel like that may be the most fearful thing that I've experienced, at least. And it's simply a spirit who made bad decisions because they were human.
But you know, it was interesting because when I started connecting, it was first through a psychic medium, and I was wanting to connect with my father-in-law because I never got to meet him in this physical world. He passed away before my husband and I met and got married. And so it was really important for me to feel like I know him. So he did come through. He was channeled through my friend, and he came through, but then I took it a step further because I really wanted to connect with him. And so I meditated with his wedding ring, and I was able to connect. And I do have like conversations with him all the time. But for my husband, it's his dad. And when I would ask, do you have any questions you want me to ask him? He's like, no. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, don't you want to talk to him? He's like, no. And I'm like, but why? And like, he just kind of kept avoiding it. And finally he's all like, that shit scares me. I don't want to. And I'm like, but it's your dad, but okay. I'm like, are you cool if I do? He's all, yeah, knock yourself out. Whatever you want to do, go for it. Like, so it's cool, but it's really awesome because I'm the messenger. You know what I mean? So I can, if he does have messages for his son, I get to be that channel. So it's so freaking cool. I love it.
It is really cool. I can't lie. It is a really cool situation to kind of experience, for sure. I love that he allows you to send messages and things. My man, when I connect to his brother, he doesn't want to know most things, but he told me it's more because of jealousy than fear. But he was raised Catholic too, so it's probably a little bit of mixture of both.
And so
So
was my
very
husband.
intriguing. I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so was
see,
my
there's
husband.
that
And
underlining.
I was too. I was too, but like I've always questioned everything instead of being like the rule follower.
Devoted in the big, yeah, I feel
Yeah,
you.
no, I was all like, why do I have to kneel right now? You know, so
Same. Mine was mostly the boredom. I'm like, I cannot sit here for 2 hours. I need to go.
What were you going to say?
Honestly, I think I just forgot to.
Oh, no.
I can't remember.
He unmuted himself, but I can't hear.
Oh,
Can you hear or can you talk? Okay. It reminds me of Ghost. I mean, who didn't grow up watching Ghost, right? The movie. There's the ones that go up, and then there's the ones that are
Yep.
creepy that come out from the dark at night. I mean, that's gonna scare anybody, right?
yeah.
But I think it's also like where we are with our beliefs, because some of us, well, at least me, I've had the experiences of feeling like an entity or whatever, and knowing that it was okay, right? Like just, oh, it's there, it's there. But then the difference between that and one that's not good, and then going, what the fuck? Like, get the hell away from here. And I think that that's attached to our fear. Like when we don't know anything in the unknown, it becomes this fear. And then we kind of just like match it, like the law of attraction. Like we just attract that until we get over our own fears. And then you don't attract it anymore in a sense. But I've had to like, stand my ground and set my boundaries and realize my power when I did figure out that I was like, oh my God, what is this? Have you had any experiences like that before?
Yeah, 120%. The moment you said that, I was like, I know exactly what I want to talk about. And it really comes down to, for me, is knowing your own power. And I think that's where the fear comes from, is like, okay, yes, this is unknown, but do I have the tools to know that I'm protected? And I say that because when I started getting on this journey, before this journey, I did a lot of extracurricular activities called drugs. And I started getting on this journey, and it took me a while to slow down. And one time I did some shrooms. And when I did these shrooms, it was always fine for me before. I never had a problem. And then this time, the veil went so thin. I saw too much that I just did not want to see in this house. I saw humans and I was like, I can't do this. And that was the only time I was ever fearful in mediumship. And that was not because of what I saw, because I didn't know how to protect myself because the veil was so thin. So I feel like again, it always goes back to knowing your power, knowing when to set those boundaries, and knowing you're always in control, even if you see something, feel something, hear something that you don't necessarily enjoy. Because at the end of the day, they're in a completely different world. And unless you're in some freak crazy situations where they're like touching you, then you should be okay. But I remember that day. It was a crazy day. I haven't touched that drug since. No.
That's funny. When you said ghosts and spirits, have you seen that movie? I could always talk about movies. The one with Nicole Kidman, has anybody seen that one where she's in the house and with the kids? And I'm not going to say anymore because I don't want to mess it up, but I forgot what is it called?
I don't remember.
That, but I did see her Netflix.
The Others.
Oh yeah, I haven't seen that.
No. Does anybody have any experiences or questions about them? Anyone that's here now?
I got a lot of experiences. If it's okay, I could maybe share a few.
Yeah.
Most recently, which actually I met Jasmine and you, Joanna, shortly after my best friend was murdered last year. He was my best friend. He was an iron worker. A double rainbow appeared. I was one of the last to leave from his funeral. He was communicating with me, but I feel like he moved on. Normally in my past, how I would go after the killers. I just let it be in that state of not letting that energy affect me. Dark energies, entities, demonic entities, they appeared to me, ghosts since a child. Everything from my grandma to loved ones, past ones, mother. And I believe they do visit as orbs that I physically see. They appear coming in through my dreams and in meditation. I'm still fairly new to this, diving into the metaphysical, probably a little bit over 3 years. So I'm still a newbie, but it's like really becoming natural. But where am I going with this? I've been everywhere since like cemeteries, different states, and I would have ghosts appear and try to communicate with me or just show themselves, even houses I lived in and apartments. And it's just always been a mystery. And so I closed that off of like, to say the third eye. I got rid of all my spiritual stuff, religious stuff. And then I dived back into it after my mom passed away. And that created this whole awakening in me where the Kundalini awakening didn't happen naturally to me. I think it went in a number of years until I had that breakthrough. And be honest, I took a shitload of LSD, like over 30 tabs. And then that awoke in like the third eye, but I was already waking it up with like ayahuasca and breath work and studying about yoga and, you know, a little bit of the occult. That's why I'm on here, because I know it's skipping a different thing, but I meet a lot of witches and they come to me like, oh, you're into shamanism. And, you know, I see things that they do of the dark side. And I know, to me personally, I feel that the moon looshes energy, the Saturn moon matrix, and that goes into a different subject. And it just is being careful what people think are really helping them turns out to be like the nice person that seems all sweet that is taking their energy as a narcissistic, or gets really deep. But I'm not going to go in there. I know we're talking about ghosts and spirits.
But you know, that's kind of like, it goes into, and to bring it back to ghosts and spirits, it's like the tool. Like we can use a hammer to build a house, or we can use it to bust somebody's head open, right? It's a matter of intention. And the same thing goes with witches, even though we're going to talk about that tomorrow, but like the intention behind it, right? Black magic, white magic, the whole thing of a person within itself, like wishing somebody bad when they're cussing them out when you're driving, and the karma that comes with that, right? Or wishing them good. Like it's all just coming down to that duality of the intention, that whatever else is used becomes a tool, right? And we just use it as good or bad. But that's kind of what it's taking me to, because of course, like if you've been through all of that, right, and seen like the bad intentions, the good ones, like all of that, it's kind of, it's good because you have all of this in your library, like you're in your library of information. So it's like more tools, more discernment that you're able to use when you do talk about things, and then be able to see it for what it is, if that made any sense.
Absolutely. This may go a little bit, but I feel it ties into metaphysical. Because of ghost and spirit seeing that, I've always seen UFOs. I've had other entities, tall beings, what people would say ETs. So that's a little bit different. I know it doesn't happen to everybody, but where they would appear and try to speak telepathically to me. And this has been since a child. It happened a lot when I was in the Marine Corps. I feel that I was part of a program because I had a lot of missing time and just seeing a lot of weird stuff. That there is something that you might be aware of, where they take people, they say they kind of project them off into the future and bring them back. And it's like time manipulation. And I know that's a form of magic also, but it is, you know, government program. It's called the 20-year back program. And I don't know if you're familiar with it. And it explains why I'm meeting a lot of others with similar, very similar situations, and they never met me. And we're just connecting now. That's part of this awakening. It's the energy that we're putting out. We're connecting to others like us. If we go along like that, I know there's other storylines people believe, like where they're at in their consciousness, but it's like we're all being tied together like a soul family ones, and we might not all agree on things, but we just love each other, and we're just learning, remembering, and growing. And these abilities, I mean, like the electromagnetism, I know I'm rambling on, but that's how you can move objects. I can move objects a bit, telekinesis, meditation becomes very easy, the lucid dreaming. And that's where I'm feeling I'm shifting reality. And I know it helps when others use magic. The dark magic users, they meditate and they all focus, and they may do psychedelics or cannabis as a way to bring in that energy. And they don't have to be all together as one. We could just be meditating all around the world at the same time. And they literally can draw in like the black cube that's a whole different thing that they worship. And I'm rambling, so I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, ladies.
But you know, it's like it's somebody people will pick up whatever they pick up and whatever resonates with them. I just think like as far as spirits and stuff, like we are spiritual beings, and so it's like there's so many different levels to it, as far as the light all the way down to the dark, the density of darkness all the way back to the light and in between. So it's like we have all those different frequencies of different things, and so it's to have an open mind of the possibilities of what is out means you have expanded more of your consciousness to be able to, because I mean, what we don't even see, like not even a portion of reality, right? We're just living in that small sliver of reality, thinking this is all that is. So when it comes to all of that, it's still part of spiritual entities, spiritual beings, spiritual light, spiritual stuff, like spirits. You know, and some people are not there yet. Some people are there. Some people are in between. But it's good to have a little mixture of it all, just because you don't know where everybody's at, right?
And I'm curious. I'm curious if you, because you said that you've missed out on some time that you know you have time missing.
Yes.
Have you done any type of meditation work to collapse time and space and kind of go back and see where that takes you, or even doing not necessarily a past life regression, but a in this life regression? I'm just curious if you tried anything like that.
I'm actually diving into something called grid work. I'm learning about portals, stargates. It's a calling to me, learning different. I'm open to everything. I even study the occult. It's not my thing, but I need to know like what they do. How do they, you know, I've had many of them try to recruit me throughout my life. But as in terms of that, remote viewing is what I've learned as a child. And that's something I did in the Marine Corps. And then I'm realizing that's coming back. It's a natural with that. Yeah, I don't know, you know what I'm talking about, but I'm still curious. That's why I'm here. We're all sharing our experiences.
Yeah, totally.
And as far as the occult, I just wanted to say, like, there's the dark occult and then there's the light occult. Like, occult by itself is just hidden. And there's things that are hidden that are good, the right hand path, and there's things that are hidden that are the left. So when people say occult, I want to demystify the belief that occult is just all bad, because occult is hidden, and it just means it depends on if it's the dark or the light. And we all kind of know where the dark occult is and what it's attached to and all of that stuff. But there is hidden knowledge that is deep within for the wise to be enlightened. And that is still occult, but it is white, it is light, and it is of, you know, a higher divinity. Just wanted to share that with anybody so that wouldn't get confused with that information.
Yeah, for sure.
I just want to throw this out there question. Halloween's takes its origins from what? Pre-Christian Celtic festival called Samhain, which marked summer's end or the end of the harvest. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. I just want to make sure everybody, you see how it's written? Like, why? Hold on. Seriously, why is it said
Say when.
Samhain, but then spelled Samhain. I've never understood that, but I just wanted to keep that in the forefront because, you know, we celebrate it, but we don't know why. And that's why. Question, Nicole, do you have any experiences or any questions or anything about ghosts or spirits you want to share?
No, I'm just listening at this point.
Awesome.
But I do think I actually know why they pronounce it Samhain. It's because it comes from the Celtic and they pronounce their syllables and their consonants very different than ours.
Perfect. Thank you. She answered my question. As far as Jasmine, hold on one second. I want to see what I'm going to click on next. Okay. Jasmine, when you've connected, right? Like medium stuff, right? And you've made that connection. You've passed along the information. Have you seen people's belief systems about spirits kind of change before your eyes while you talk? And
Oh,
you
100%.
know what I mean?
100%. I think it's not a critic. What do they call it where they don't believe me? Anyways, one of those people, they'll come to me and they're like, I don't believe this stuff, but you're here. Let me go ahead and give it a try. And then they are the people who get the most profound messages. I don't know if it's because they're just in that state where they're like, okay, this is crazy and I'm cracked open, so I'm going to receive everything. But they seem to get the most profound messages. And those people usually are the ones that come back to me saying like, you helped change my life. And so, yeah, I was 100% say that is a regular situation. Is what is the word? A skeptic. Thank you, Nicole. You're over there just killing it. Yes. But 100%. And it's because it's hard to deny what you see someone doing in front of you without tools. So keep that in mind. When I do mediumship stuff, I don't have any tools. So literally I'm just here talking, and you can't deny that no matter how much you've been taught to deny it. I would say the biggest thing that I get secondhand to that is just the religious aspect of it. And like, why would you do that? Other than those two things, yeah, all the time. Skeptics are my favorite. They give me the most nerves, but they're the most fun. As long as they're open. Because if you're closed, it makes my job a little hard. But if they're open, it is a good time.
Do you get people that are just like, don't believe in? Well, I guess.
Yeah. But usually like for the non-believers, like a whole like a one that's like, I really don't believe you at all, they'll come with a partner. Like the partner usually drags them along. But other than that, I've been at certain places at the right time and had mentioned something or said something that will spark that conversation and trigger that person to believing in certain situations. But yeah, overall it's a good time over here.
I mean, I think after all, like we tend to fear being alone. And at the end of the day, like when you do meditate and you go deep within and you realize you're not alone at all, like the whole universe is within you and like everyone's there, and like you start to be more in tune with that side and realize, okay, you're not really ever alone. So like, what are you really scared of? But because when we're little, we're like, ghosts, then we're scared, you know? But what were we going to say, Michelle?
I have a question for Jasmine. Has it ever gotten to the point like, I mean, I'm sure you set your boundaries, so you're like, you're only allowed to connect with me when I'm ready type thing. But like, have you ever gotten to the point where it's like, okay, you need to stop right now because I'm not getting, you know,
100%.
they come at you like, and you're just like, okay, I'm closed for business right now.
Yeah, 100%. Especially at the beginning. The beginning is so hard to control. One, you're excited. Two, what the hell is open and closed energy even mean? So 100%. It's really hard. But that led to a lot of emotional breakdowns, and then I had to learn, and I'm like, I can't do this all the time. I don't have the energy to do this all the time. And a lot of it comes down to like this hero complex that we have, especially in the beginning, thinking that, oh, I can do this, I'm gonna just say what I can when I can and be open all the time to help as many people as I can. And then you realize like, that's not my job, bro. So you can come to me when you want to. But yeah, I've learned super hard boundaries. In the beginning, it would be a lot more physical things like wearing a hat, or if I just something more physical. Now they like, no, if I come into my office, I'm working. Great. If I'm leaving my office, don't fucking talk to me. Excuse my language. If I'm outside of my office per se, then what I usually do is my guide, our trigger to start working is I'll fist bump him in my head. I'm like, okay, you ready? And I'll fist bump him and then I'll turn on. But really, I do not turn on until somebody's in front of me and it's time for me to work. And mostly because it's so emotional.
Well, okay, so it's interesting, and I was curious because I, being an empath, I physically feel, and being clairsentient, I feel other people's happiness, pain, whatever, right? So there's been times when I wake up in the middle of the night thinking I'm having the heart attack, but it's not me. But I have to stop and I have to breathe, and then I have to like, okay, is this mine? Is this somebody else's? Is this mine? And like kind of work with that. And it was getting to the point, because my mom does have heart problems. I was feeling her while I was sleeping. I felt a neighbor when he passed, and I'm just like, okay, when I sleep, I need my rest. I thank you for the gift, although it could be painful, but this is my time to rest and recharge. So I don't want to feel other people's pain physically while I sleep. So I've had to come up with that, because it's just like, you do need those shutdown times.
Boundaries.
Yeah, but the reason, boundaries 100%. And the reason though they show up at nighttime is mostly because that's when we're out of our own way, and that's the only time we allow them to come. So one, you got to be aware of that. For anyone that's new, is yes, those boundaries are important, but make sure, maybe if that happens often, make sure you connect a couple hours before you go to bed to see if they do have any messages for you. What I also suggest, especially when it is the empathic stuff, every night before you go to bed, whether you're in the shower or right before you go to bed, I want you to unplug, like scan your body and see how many like cords are attached to you. And they could be in different areas. They usually go all through your chakras, but unplug all these cords and be in your own power while you go to sleep, before you go to bed, so that it helps out a little bit. And also, I believe in shower meditations, full load. I do a morning shower meditation and a night shower meditation.
Me too.
Clear your energy. It is, and it comes again, it's like we want to save everybody, but it's not our job. So I tell them, if it's not information that I can help, then please leave me alone. It's very important for me to be as normal as possible.
Well, and so when I am going to bed, when I'm saying that, I always ask if there's any downloads or messages you may have for me, please let me remember them in the morning. Like, so that way
that's a good one.
My good night's rest. But if there are messages, I don't want to be like, oh, hey, I'm not going to take them. Right. So it's just like, let me remember them in the morning. So that way I have rest, but it's still there. So that
especially
helps me.
If you're a dreamer. Especially if you're a dreamer. And that's where you got to get into the habit of, okay, I wake up, I'm going to honor them for letting me sleep, and you writing it down at the same time. So it goes hand in hand. They'll keep bothering you, and you can say it, but it takes that physical action for them to be like, okay, she gets it. We can continue working this way.
That's awesome. I love that.
Because everybody's different, and it's going to be different for everybody. The way that you communicate best, you know, 100%. The way that, like yesterday, or I don't know what day it was, I was trying to communicate, but I was like, I need a name, like show me a name throughout the day that's going to pop up at me a bunch of times so that I know for sure that that's the name. Right. And I'm scrolling and it said something, and it said angel, and then something, whatever. And I was like, oh my God, is that it? And then I kept on, and the day went by, and then I was watching something on TV and it said the name again. And I was like my ears perked up, like, is that my number 2? Am I waiting for number 3 now to make it like validation now? But it's cool because it's like whatever you say or want or ask, you receive. Like, so it's all about what your intention is.
Intention, a relationship. You're having a relationship with the universe. So, and I think that's a hard thing to understand too, is like, yes, let's test it. I like the fact that you said 3, but then also trusting the universe and not overdoing the test, and then being like, okay, well, you're not listening anyway, so I'm going to get like, that's your problem. It's a hard balance to find. I love it. Okay.
Because you got to like release control. Cause a lot of people are like, boom. Like I'm thinking, oh, is it, I'm show me however many you want to show me. Right. But like, I was looking for 3 as like, is this 3? Because there is that tunnel vision that we tend to have with everything, of control, of like wanting something to be a certain way instead of allowing it to come however it's best. And sometimes we don't know that there's something better. But ultimately, regardless of ghosts and spirits, I think it always comes down to us growing, like our whole spiritual being. Again, I'm going to say this many times, it's balance between mind, body, and spirit. But we're going to evolve in so many different ways. And a lot of that comes with deconditioning of what we thought, our beliefs, again, because we've been taught so many different things that now that we're able to see things differently with a different perspective, more awakened, now we can decipher for ourselves, and we can go, okay, yeah, this doesn't sound right. Right. Like if somebody was to come and tell you something now you're able to discern and go, yeah, that's bullshit, versus before when you were little and you just took that as a belief and you've carried it all along. So it's about really being open-minded about all of this and having that discernment for yourself, which you have when you go inwardly. I'm going to share this just because I want to see what everybody thinks. Jack-o'-lanterns were originally carved out of watermelons and not pumpkins. True or false?
False. Water?
The practice of making jack-o'-lanterns originated from the Ireland, where they used large turnips and potatoes. So yes, false. So I guess they were carving potatoes, right? I want to go make a jack-o'-lantern or whatever out of a potato. See what that looks like. Yeah, what's up?
So supposedly jack-o'-lanterns or the pumpkins make a toroidal field, the plasmic field, and when they light a candle in there, they use it for magic. I don't know deeply into it, but it's used heavily during that time for magical purposes. The pumpkin especially. So
yeah, it's like the shape of just like the shape of the apple, but it is the torus field, which we all have. You know, this is our torso, the torus field around us. It creates the magnetism, which we are electromagnetic beings. So everything comes down to. I can't wait to talk about that when we talk about magic, because that's really all it is. It's like electricity and magnetism and how we use that. So yay, that's for the third day. Guys, it's been great to talk about ghosts and spirits. Does anybody else have any other questions or says or stories? Let me stop this share so that we can look at each other. Let me see who else is talking over here. Christine, Kiara. Cool. Does anybody else have anything they want to share? You like my shirt? What's it say?
I love it.
The metaphysical something examination. Jasmine, thank you so much. Tell everybody where they can find you. She also has a whole series right now about psychic and mediumship, right? About how to develop your skills.
Yes.
On Akasha.
Yes. So you can find me on Akasha. You can find me, and that is in Akasha. I am focusing on like pick a cards and teaching psychic stuff, mediumship stuff, and we'll get into some spirituality stuff as well. And make sure you guys are following me on all my socials at Jasmine the Medium, and you spell my name with a Z, Jazmine, and that's it. That's all I got.
Awesome. Thank you.
I appreciate
yes, you're welcome.
Thank you.
It's like a perfect way to start off our 3-day workshop. The replay will be available in the Love Your Life Tribe along with under workshops in the QE Academy. For those who are new navigating around the Academy, if you have not set up your tour, your free tour, let me know, because there's so much behind the closed doors. I want to be able to show everybody a tour of how it works and how to navigate it, etc. What else was I going to say? Tour. Oh, it'll be under workshops, the replay. And that's it. And tomorrow we're going to start with witches. We're going to talk about Wicca, paganism, all that stuff. And then the 8 holy days, which I can't wait to talk about. So I will see you guys here tomorrow.
Thank you.